Kia ora all, I am Celia Hogan from Little Kiwis Nature Play. I am going to show you how to make a flax ball, and I was meant to have one here as a demo, but I forgot. So let's start. Essentially we're just making a little flax ball that we can use. I showed them in my backyard lockdown video that I did last week, so if you're keen to learn how, this is what we do. We have two flax leaves like this. I'm going to try and do it a little bit quick just so it's not a long video. Fold them in half and then rip each one. So we will then have 4 pieces of flax, and that's about how much we need. Hey, so those checking us out live, let us know where you're from, where you're watching from. How's your day going? Weather here is not so warm, as you can tell I'm in a down jacket. Right, next we want to get the 4 pieces of flax that, you know, the same width, so same size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one here. I'm going to just use my finger to pull off the inside piece, and then I'm going to kind of make a little bit of a guess here. I've visually looked at the other 4 pieces and they're all about the same width. So hey, we've got Christchurch, yep, freezing, Christchurch freezing, yes, hence the jacket. So that's about the width we're going, and now I'm going to do that, or use that width to create all the other 3 the same size. So the way I do that is I take the one that I've kind of measured, I hold it up to another piece of the flax, and you can see there's little bits either side. I'm just going to dig my nails in either side of that, and then now I have 2 pieces the exact same width. Okay, and I'll just do that to the other 2, and so then we will have 4 pieces that are the exact same width. Now this is quite cool wee ball that we're going to make, and it can definitely go a little wrong, but if you get it, it's really awesome. So I'll try and give you a really good demonstration. The cool thing about live is it will be available on our Facebook page afterwards, so you will be able to come back and have a look as well. Right, so now I have 4 pieces of the same width. What I'm going to do, just to make it easier for me demonstrating, I'm just going to cut just a little bit off the end of these, just so I can move it round easily for you seeing and watching. Right, I then take 2 pieces. I come up to the ends, get them exactly the same there, and I'm just going to, Hampton viewer here, balmy t-shirt weather, rubbing it in. I'm just going to tie an overhand knot, okay, with the 2 ends. I'm going to tie, an overhand knot, thanks Luca, that's my son. And so I've just tied that in the end there, okay, as close to the end as possible. So I've done that with 2, I'm going to do that with the other 2. Tie that in there. And then we are good. Right. Well, next I have my 2 pieces here, and then what I'm going to do with my other 2 pieces, will just be the tricky bit of demonstrating here, is I'm going to take one and go over under and pull that all the way through to the top knot there. Then with the other one I'm going to go behind and then in front. So essentially we're just making a square pattern there, okay, and we pull those in close. The next bit, let's see, I might have to stand up, that might be easier for me, standing up so that you can see. We then are going to take this outer one, so we can kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to take number 4, and because it comes from behind, we're then going to put it in front of its own one, and see how I've kind of folded it inwards. Okay, so it's going to roll inwards. Then we can pinch with our fingers there to hold what was number 4 and number 3. We then take number 1, and because it's in front of the one behind, we're going to then put it behind that one and then over top there. So we've kind of just created a little mini weave. And what's starting to happen is this is rolling inwards, so we need to make sure that we do it so that it does roll inwards. So we don't want to be rolling the flax away from itself. Okay, so I'll show you again. So this one here, give me a thumbs up or something, write in the comments if this is making sense. So I'm going to put this one over top of number 3. Okay, and then there'll be 3 strands coming this way, 1 strand that way. We then weave number 1 under and over, which these are still really long, making it a little bit tricky for me to show you, but that's okay. And it starts to weave. Okay, so we're just keeping the same pattern, and you can see that what's happening is this is starting to go inside itself, and that's exactly what we're wanting. So we're actually going to tuck those corners in there, and I'm just going to do a little over and then an under over. And we then have the start of the ball forming, and the ends have just tucked inside. So that's what we're looking for. We're going to be weaving around the outside of this ball. So we're pulling it tight each time that we do this. Next, and we continue that pattern. So go over the number 3. Then we have 3 of them coming out this side. We take this number 1. And depending which way, but for me in this demo, I'm going behind and then over top of the next one. We pull it tight and it just starts rolling in like that. Cool. Okay, number 1 coming over. And so we need to make sure, see that one's landed that way, but actually we need it to just kind of fold around rather than be folded. So it kind of just bends a little bit. Next, we have this one, and it's number 1 is going to go behind and then in front. And then we have 2 coming out this side, 2 coming out this side. And we just literally keep going. I'll just do it a little bit faster just to show you how this goes. So I'm just going to tightening it as I go. And again, I'm just making sure it's kind of like when I'm folding it, I'm wrapping it around the ball, because that's what's going to end up happening. Yep, so it will sit flat. I take this one behind and then in front. And again, we have 2 coming out each side. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think you could do this? Okay. There we go. Yeah, got a thumbs up there. That's awesome. Okay, so what we can do is we can keep going with this until it's the size that you want. It is easy if these aren't quite as long to do it, but if you have them longer, you can make it quite a big ball there. So I'll do a few more and then I'll show you how we finish this off. And actually, it's probably easier to see if I stand. So you can really see what I'm doing with this one. I'm kind of folding it around here. So it's just wrapping around the ball. And then this is going to go behind and then over, and it wraps around. Okay, and for those people who are wanting to find flax, I've put a link to the tikanga around flax just to help people. Oh, and I've got a wee corner thing going on there, so I'm just straightening that out. So yeah, we started with a harakeke that I said with my children, and they thanked Tānei Mahuta for the flax, and we've been gathering a few other bits and pieces as well. Right, I think we'll leave that there. So the next thing, I'm going to actually just cut these a little bit so I can easily show you what happens next. Because we're literally just going to be feeding these pieces back on themselves. So if you can see here, we'll start with this one here. This one here, the natural line it goes in folds this way. So we're going to keep it in that natural line and thread it under the next one that is in its line, or it's in its path. So I've done that. Try to make sure you hold these other pieces in place. We then have one here. I'm going to thread that through this one, and it can be a little bit tricky to get them through sometimes, especially if you've done it quite tight, but just see how you go. And I've got another one coming here, and we can just cut off any little bits that get caught or rip. Pull, and then we'll do one more here. So I think that one can go under that one. Right, now you can go over it another couple of times or thread through one more just for the purpose of this. I'm literally going to just get my scissors and chop these little bits that are kind of come off. It's quite tricky cutting, so you can see. Right, and then there we have it. There is our ball. So that is what we're going to make. Ari, would you like this ball? Yeah, so nice and simple. Great wee resource. Great resource that again is sustainable. It's come from nature. If it falls apart, it can go back to nature and decompose. So it's fantastic. We use them a lot as loose parts as well, so they can become anything. They don't just have to be a ball. They will become anything. So we make little tiny ones, kind of ones about that size, and we make big ones. So whatever you want, you can do. We'll make a little one next. So good luck. If you have a go, let us know how you get on. Show us a photo in the comments. Thanks very much. Right, I'm going to push stop. Oh, my finger's too cold. Too cold to press finish.